Hey, y'all, welcome back to Reddit The Wire. Well, we're through Friday's card of Future Stars Friday, so now it's on to Saturday's card. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, so let's get into it. So here's the Dirt Mile. Um, it is run around two turns as opposed to one at some of the other tracks in the East, so that's a really important element. It's probably been talked to death for this race, but we do have to remember it is two turns. The first we'll look at is Stage Raider, trained by Cherie DeVoe and is having a nice year. This one just seems a cut below. I can't describe it any other way. I think this is an honest horse who always gives a solid effort. Did so in the ACAC last time, finishing second to Zooz. But that was a one-turn mile, and she has, or he has run at Ellis Park around two turns and won. So maybe that will help his cause a little bit. But the recent good form has been just that, recent. Maybe the light bulb's gone off at 5 and he's progressed. But he's going to need a significant leap forward, in my opinion, to be competitive in this race. Practical Move is one that I'm very interested in seeing run. Just came back, and granted, was after a long layoff, and, he ran a temperature, didn't run in the Derby. Prior to that, he was lights out at Santa Anita. Came back a couple weeks ago and ran a really nice race in a good optional claimer. It wasn't necessarily a bad race. Rating-wise, you see it got a 118, which is a halfway decent race. A lot of grade 3s will come in at 118. And he ran them off seemingly with ease. So he's coming into this race in good form. The only question I have really is that if we're a little down on the 3-year-olds, then is Practical Move really, can we think about him in the same class with Codys Wish? And I don't know that we can, but there are a couple advantages. Number one, he's 4 for 4 at Santa Anita and 2 for 2 at the distance. So down in distance, that's in his favor. We know he loves to save ground towards the rail, and he's in the 2 hole, so he'll probably be able to do that. He'll need another move forward, but tactically, he will have a really good advantage being up near the lead, where Codys Wish will be coming from behind. So I tend to believe that that second off the layoff is a good angle for Tim Yakteen at 22%. Likely wasn't tuned up all the way to win an optional claimer. We know what the end game is. It's the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and here he is. So I think Practical Move is definitely one who is a prime win candidate in this spot, and in many respects, he's the one to beat. Then we come right next door to Codys Wish. Great story, of course. Bill Mott on Breeders' Cup Day, hard to overlook. The thing about Codys Wish this year, now, we can draw a line through the Whitney to a degree. He was washy, he didn't break well, and it was 2 turns. At a mile, 2 turns, he'll be fine. Keeneland, he won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile there last year. Have no reason to believe that's going to be a problem. What I do perceive as a problem, he seems in the last couple of races to be working a little harder, perhaps, than he normally does. And you just have to wonder, maybe at 5, he's losing a half a step. The other problem I see is he's braking slowly, and that can become a problem, particularly in a race like the mile where you're pretty much all out from the get-go. I don't know how much pace he's going to have to run to in this race, and that's another thing that kind of works against him a little bit. Still, he is the defending champion. He's a fine horse, and we absolutely have to consider him as a win candidate. This is not the greatest of fields, and perhaps last year was a little better. Maybe Cyberknife was a cut above some of the 3-year-olds we've got this year. So you definitely have to think about Codys Wish as a repeat. Kind of hard not to. So don't like the 9 to 5 price, and it'll probably be a little shorter than that. But he's one that you definitely have to have in the mix. Then we have Zozos. A lot of, we know what he wants to do is get on the lead and wire the field. Zozos to me is a grade 3 horse. He's not a grade 1 horse. And really, that's the rub right there. You see his last 2 races are significantly below the par for this race speed-wise. And while the mile is a good distance for him, I just have a really sneaky suspicion he's not going to have enough to win this race. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, he'll be ready. He's going to fire. There's no question about that. I just don't think he's good enough to take this field all the way around the track. Charge It is the enigma of enigmas. He and Tapit Trice basically, we can't figure out what the hell to do with either of them. And I'm sure Todd Pletcher, it's driving him crazy trying to figure this horse out. The one tactic that seemingly worked effectively is in the Suburban when they put him on the lead and he wired the field. Why they didn't go back to that in the Whitney or the Woodward, I have no idea. It seems to be the only way you can keep this horse out of the trouble that he often creates for himself. Maybe they'll try it here. That would take advantage of his speed, get him out of trouble, get him up on the lead, and then I do think he has enough speed to win this race and enough class, witnessed by, of course, the race we always refer back to, the Dwyer, which was at a mile, granted 1 turn. But if this horse can just mentally get it together, he would be a potential upset candidate in this race. And he's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't horse. You sort of have to include him in the mix, knowing full well he'll likely disappoint. But who knows? Maybe this is the time the light bulb goes off. You get Johnny Velasquez aboard, and we'll just see about it. Skippy Longstocking is, to me, kind of like Zozos. He's a grade 3 horse. Won the Charlestown Classic last time. That was not a very good field. And he wired it because that's what a good horse should do when he's facing mediocre company. You see in the Cornhusker, a grade 3, finished second prior to that. And we were kind of thinking earlier in the year in the Pegasus, he was going to take a move forward. And he proved to be just not a grade 1 horse. So can he still get underneath? It's possible. At 12-1, that's not a bad price, but I don't consider him to be a viable win candidate, not with Codys Wish and Practical Move in this race. Algiers is our foreign invader, and he's pretty interesting if you consider what he did in the Dubai World Cup. This one ships pretty darn well and has a pretty nice track record. He's got $3 million in earnings, so I think he belongs here. Again, another one who should be rating just off the pace as he did in the Durham Cup last time. And that could give him tactically a little bit of an edge. However, that last speed figure in 92 isn't going to cut it in this race. He will have to step it up significantly. Maybe the move from all-weather to dirt, which is an angle I love to play, may work in his favor. 6-1's not a bad price for him. I think this is an interesting horse to think about. Sherles B just isn't good enough. Can't really even figure out why this horse is in the race. A 75 in the last race in an ungraded stakes, not going to cut it here. You go back and you do see in the 2000 Guineas a good effort at a mile, as well as at Maiden where won a mile stakes race. But I believe those are straightaways. Number one, that's a different animal here. Dallas Stewart's barn is going well, and he has been known to throw a bomb in here and there. But despite the nice work tab and everything else, horses work great. That doesn't mean they're going to run far and above what they normally do, and he would have to have a significantly better effort. So even with Luis Saez aboard, Sherles B is a toss to me. National Treasure is intriguing. I do note that Johnny Velasquez opted out and don't know really what that means terribly much. Charge It may be a better prospect. National Treasure has been most effective getting on the lead. And I think he could get on the lead here. He would have to gun it from the 9-hole to do so. But he's probably more attuned to a grade 1 than Zozos is, certainly. So maybe if they employ that tactic, perhaps he can factor in this race. I'm certainly not willing to throw him out. It's Bob Baffert on Breeders' Cup Day, and you do get Flavien Prat aboard. He is coming in third off the layoff, and but do note he's never won at Santa Anita. And I remember Bob Baffert saying something back in his 2 and 3 year old campaigns that he just couldn't get the lead against some of these other horses. So I don't know. Maybe they try to send him to the lead to try to wake him up a little bit. Another move forward would definitely put him in the mix. I'm willing to give him a shot at 8-1. I think it's tenuous for him to be a win candidate, but I think he's a horse you certainly can use. And if he can get on the lead somehow, you never know. I mean, maybe he can do it if Codys Wish doesn't fire. But it's a tall order, to say the least. But I think he's worth including within the mix. So here's what it looks like from my perspective. Charge It, I think, it's sort of you just sort of have to include him. Any horse could show up. He could be the world beater from the Dwyer, or he could be his underachieving self that we normally see. I think their best bet is if they can get on the lead, just deny Zozos the opportunity to try to wire the field. And if he does that, he stays out of trouble, he controls the pace, and he does have enough raw speed that he could win this race. National Treasure, he is coming in third off the layoff, and it's Bob Baffert on Breeders' Cup Day. I think there's a reason he moved him to the Dirt Mile as opposed to the Classic. It's a little shorter distance. Maybe he can be a little bolder at 8-1, decent price. Probably more likely to be under, though. Practical Move, I think, is the logical second choice, or first, depending on your preference, to Codys Wish. He's a horse for the course, 4 for 4, 2 for 2 at the distance. He's in the inside, so he can save ground the way he likes to. And then it'll just be a question of whether he's good enough. He will need to take another move forward, but I do think it's possible. And Practical Move, I think, is a logical win candidate here. Algiers is a bit of a wild card, being the foreign invader, but he does have the back class to indicate that he could be competitive in this spot. He will have to improve on his last pace figure, but he does have the ability to do it, I think. And so he's an interesting choice at 6-1. And then, of course, Codys Wish. This field is the kind of field I think he can beat. He may not even have to be at his very best to do so. That's how good Codys Wish is. He has been breaking poorly his last couple of starts. And in a race like the mile, that is something that can cost you. However, class-wise and talent-wise, I think he is the best in this field and a logical win candidate. I'd like the price to be a little better, but we'd like a lot of things in life that we're not going to get. So Codys Wish and Practical Move I consider to be the top 2 win candidates here. So that's the Dirt Mile. It looks like a 2-horse race to me between Practical Move and Codys Wish, but there are some horses kind of flying under the radar a little bit. I think National Treasure might be one of them, but we'll just have to see. I hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy as always, and I wish you the best of luck. If you do like postings like this, please like and subscribe, and we do thank all of you who have come on board. I really appreciate the support, and it does help to keep us going. It does take a bit of time to put these together, so thanks again for that, and be on the lookout for further postings. That's it from here. Talk to you soon, and until then, be well.